We all know what happened. The whole world witnessed it, that if you were tuned into the 2026 FIFA World Cup Final at MetLife Stadium, or if you were glued to your phone watching the absolute internet meltdown that followed, you saw Spain grind out a brutal, hard-fought 1-0 extra time win over Argentina to claim the ultimate prize.
2026, Spain!
But the sports drama on the pitch was completely overshadowed by what happened the exact second the final whistle blew. Global politics, massive egos, and unfiltered awkwardness collided in a way that literally broke social media. What went down on that podium was pure, unadulterated chaos. And if you thought to yourself, wait a minute, didn't we already see this movie? You were completely right. Donald Trump pulled this exact same stunt last year at the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup Final at that very same stadium. When Chelsea took home the trophy, Trump flat out refused to get off the stage, leaving players standing around completely stranded in the middle of their own celebration. Fast forward to the World Cup Final, and history repeated itself down to the millimeter. Trump stayed glued right to the center of the podium while the Spanish players gathered to lift the trophy, forcing a visibly stressed-out Gianni Infantino to awkwardly jog over and physically herd him away from the team photo. And that was just the opening act of a full-scale digital war. By the time everyone woke up the next morning, the internet was already deep into the fallout. Over on TikTok and across major news outlets like the Daily Mail, a hilarious new detail went viral. The official channels for Spain's national team posted their epic victory celebration pictures, but with one massive twist. They had completely edited Donald Trump out of the photo. While FIFA's official feeds showed a lingering sliver of his blue suit right on the edge of the frame, the Spanish team's posts featured a pristine, entirely Trump-free celebration. They refused to let him hijack their historic moment, prompting fans across the globe to turn the whole thing into a massive meme template, pasting Trump into everything from historical Renaissance paintings to random family photos just to mock his desperate need to be the center of attention. TO understand why Spain was more than happy to digitally erase him. You have to look at the absolute disaster zone happening behind the scenes between Washington and Madrid. Weeks before a ball was even kicked in the tournament, relations between the U.S. administration and the Spanish government under Pedro Sánchez hit rock bottom over fierce disagreements on NATO defense, spending targets, and Spain flat out blocking American forces from using their military bases and airspace for Middle East operations. The political feud got so toxic that Trump completely lost his temper with reporters, raging about economic retaliation and bluntly telling his administration to cut the country off entirely. The viral audio clips of his threats are still everywhere online, where he ranted, "I don't want anything to do with Spain. Cut off all trade with Spain, including visits.
I don't want anything to do with Spain. Cut off all trade with Spain, please, including visits. Okay, we don't want anything to do. Watch them come running back. Oh, they'll come running back. They're hopeless."
Think about the absolute whiplash of that timeline. 1 week, the U.S. government is treating Spain like an economic enemy, drawing up embargo threats, and talking about cutting off trade. The next week, Trump is helicoptering into MetLife Stadium via Marine One, stepping out to a chorus of loud, ringing boos from the stadium crowd, handing out medals, and physically inserting himself into the dead center of Spain's victory ceremony. Even the players knew it was a ticking time bomb. Spanish striker Borja Iglesias even joked openly before the match in an interview that he'd shake Trump's hand just so he didn't get thrown in prison, hoping the whole awkward encounter would just flash by and be over with. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. The man genuinely has zero clue how football actually works. He knows it's a massive global sport, sure, but he treats the entire game like a personal campaign rally or a green screen for his own image. It is the exact same energy as when people in his inner circle feed him completely fabricated stats. Like the time he went out and publicly claimed he was the #1 person on TikTok by billions, completely oblivious to the fact that his handlers were feeding him total nonsense while actual content creators pull in real numbers. He doesn't understand the culture. He doesn't understand the blood, sweat, and tears these athletes invest over a grueling 4-year cycle, and he certainly doesn't care about the sanctity of a team holding their hard-earned trophy. He just wants a camera locked on his face. When FIFA President Gianni Infantino was caught on live television frantically pulling him away from Rodri and the squad, it wasn't just a funny meme. It was desperate damage control. FIFA officials were sweating bullets behind the scenes, terrified that a major international political feud would explode live on a global broadcast watched by billions. Yet the second Trump boarded Air Force One to head back, he flipped the script entirely, smiling for the press and claiming there was suddenly no tension with Spain because they supposedly caved on defense budget payments. Was his behavior childish? Unquestionably, yes. When a grown man, let alone a world leader who barely follows the sport, stubbornly refuses to step off a stage after being handed multiple cues to leave just so he can photobomb a nation's once-in-a-lifetime triumph, only to get aggressively photoshopped out of the official pictures by the team itself. That is the definition of narcissistic immaturity. Doing it once at a club final was weird. Doing it a second time on the actual World Cup stage proves it's a desperate, inescapable habit. The internet is still tearing the clips apart. The memes are not stopping, and the uneasy, fragile truce between Washington and Madrid remains on razor-thin ice.
I don't know if you know, but the official definition of FIFA is FIFA is the official happiness provider to humanity since 120 years. So we are providing joy and happiness.
The team loses.
Unless the team loses, of course.
Essential happen.
And all this, of course, would not have been possible. And I say this because it is the truth. You don't need people to compliment you, Mr. President, but this World Cup would not have been such an incredible success without you